Hey, what's up guys, it's Shawzo here, and this is Egret Tours Marina, and I've turned it into a neutral marketplace for the Commonwealth. This place had so much wrong with it. There was holes in rooftops, broken walls and just rubble everywhere. But I've managed to adapt and fix up the place pretty nicely. This is part of a series where I'm rebuilding the entire Commonwealth, and we're about 21 settlements in so far, so subscribe if you want to see more of that. Anyways, I'm going to show you how I built the place with a finished tour at the end. Enjoy! So the best thing to start with this settlement, I think, is some walls, because there's concrete lines at the front that we can definitely make use of, and we can make a really cool entrance where it curves round as well. As well as that, there's a line going around the settlement where the wooden pallets are, which are also good spots for some walls. But I'm going to do something a bit different with my walls. They're not going to be as scrappy as I usually do them. They're going to have more of a solid look. So I'm going to be using the same wall throughout the entire build. And we'll just place this one perfectly on the curb here. Not too deep, not too high, just sitting it very nicely within it. And we'll just build that all the way along. It should build very nicely going in a straight line. Now the only issue with placing the same wall down is it looks very repetitive. As you can see, the texture is the same throughout. But there is a way to change this up. All you got to do is simply flip a couple of them here and there. Not all of them, just a few of them, because as you can see there's a different texture on the other side, and this just makes it look a lot more natural within the game. But I'm not finished there yet. I do want a bit of scrap on there, so I'm going to be using the half walls from the warehouse section, and I'm going to place them in areas where it looks like it needs a bit of extra support. It definitely gives it a lot more character without it looking too scrappy. Anyways, I'm going to finish off the rest of the walls. With a little bit of time and patience, the walls are up now and it's nice and secure, and I'm very happy with the outcome. Looking at the entrance, I did find out that you can't actually open the gate on the warehouse, which is so unfortunate, because I would have walled it off going directly into the warehouse. So I've just kept the left side open and blocked off the right side. Having a look at a different part of the settlement, as you can see I've cornered it off perfectly here, keeping it within that line, and I've even managed to save the existing gate. I'm so happy with how this pathway looks. It makes such a difference when you do build on that line. So it does follow along to the second boathouse and up until where the water is. So security isn't too bad on this side. Of course there will be some turrets a bit later. Coming on to the left side of the settlement, I've managed to keep the existing metal fencing within this area, and I've had to build the walls going uphill a little bit, and this leads to a bigger issue. There's this massive rock that overlooks the entire settlement, which is very bad for security. And of course you can't really put walls here because one, it would not look realistic, and two, it would look a bit ugly in my opinion. So I'm going to put a security post up there because it just feels necessary to do that. So let's get into it. I'm just simply going to put down a foundation, a couple of stairs. We'll fill the top with some barricades. I'm going to keep the same one for this little platform. And then once they're put in place, we're going to get the trusty pillar. And I'm just going to throw some metal walls onto it because I'm not a fan with how the foundation looks on its own. So let's fix that up quick. And there we go, a nice little security area. It's a very simple build, but it just proves that you don't need to overbuild to make it look good. So now it's time to deal with this warehouse, and look at the state of it. We need to fix up this rooftop ASAP. So the plan is I'm going to put down 2 staircases going up, and we'll get this big floor piece from the barn set, and we'll go 5 across, and we'll make our way round to the right, following it along the same path. And I'm going to put down a couple of half walls, and we'll finish this up with some rooftops. And I do particularly want to use the barn rooftops as they're a bit lighter than the others. And we'll build this all the way down to where the floor finishes. Now you want to start deleting the floors, even the half walls that we put down. And as we make our way back down the stairs, I'm going to put a half wall on top of the stairs. This will allow us to hold it all together with the pillar glitch. And we'll put it in about this position, of course saving it before we attempt this. And we just got to find that sweet spot where we think it will sit very nicely. And there we go, I am very happy with that, no gaps whatsoever, sits on there absolutely perfect, and there's no rain getting in anymore. Now this part of the rooftop, there is a couple of small holes, and of course I need to fix that. So it's the same process again, but 3 rooftops across on the right side. And we'll bring the pillar to this position, of course saving it again before you attempt it, and we'll just find that sweet spot. And there we go, very happy with that. I wanted to go with the original rooftops for this side as I just felt like that looked a bit better. There are still a couple of holes on the rooftop down below that I really want to fix up, but we're going to use a different method this time. I'm actually going to be using the scaffolding set as it's only a quick little job. So I've done 2 ramps up with 2 floors across. This will allow me to put ramps either side of it. And we'll just delete these floor pieces and we'll get our trusty pillar, sinking it right into the ground so we can bring it up to a certain height. And I'm very happy to see that the warehouse isn't very restrictive. I can literally put it straight through the rooftop here. I'm going to put it as close as possible to that top wall and we'll just delete the bottom ones. Anyways, I'm going to fix up the rest of the warehouse. And look at that, what a transformation. It looks 10 times better. Not a hole in sight. Yes, it does look a little bit scrappy, but I'd say it looks tidy in some sense. It's definitely back to its former glory. Now with the inside, I'm going to leave that as a little bit of a surprise for the tour later, so I can't wait to show you that. So now it's time to move on to the main building next door, and it's even worse, and this needs a lot of work. So I'm going to be starting with putting a floor piece on this particular corner of the rooftop. And we'll just line it up very nicely. This will of course allow every other floor to be in place perfectly. And with that in position, we can now simply fill in the rest of the space. Very happy with how that's all lined up, so now it's time to fix up where these walls are. And because of how the building is shaped, we're going to have to put the walls up individually, but that's not a problem, it just takes a little bit longer. So I'm going to scrap a load of these items, luckily it gets rid of the rubble as well. And I'm going to put down a barn foundation as that allows me to reach the pillar up there a bit more. And we've got our trusty pillar ready with a barn wall, and we'll bring it over to the foundation that we've just put down. And it should fit in here just perfectly. This would of course only work with walls of this height. Anyways, let's fix up the rest. We have no choice but to keep the porch area sticking out, but we do need some kind of door frame to seal it all up. So I've used this half pillar and I've sunk it in this particular position. This will allow it to prop it up inside the building, and this will obviously be the perfect height for it to fit in this gap. And we obviously still want access to this porch as it looks over the settlement quite nicely. And I'm very happy with this repair job. I've purposely used colours here and there just to make it pop a bit more, as it does make a major difference giving it a bit of life. Now it's time to move back onto the rooftop because I do want to do something with this of course. It's not just going to be left like this. And we need to find a way of getting up there, and this space right here is perfect for that. So I want to use the scaffolding set, but I can't connect up the floors with the standard big ones, so I'm going to have to use the matching small one in order to connect up the scaffolding floors. And luckily we can put a staircase going directly down this way, and we'll connect up this floor going into the wall, and we'll use a big staircase for the bottom one this time, maybe with some railings. And there we go, that is such a simple build but a very practical way of getting up, and it's in its own area as well. But we do need some kind of shelter as we don't really want to get wet. So the plan is I definitely want to take advantage of where the rooftop slopes down, and if I put these scaffolding boards in this position here, and we'll build a floor above so we can put one either side, everything just clips through nicely to make ourselves our own little makeshift shelter. And because it was in that position, it goes over to the next side of the sloping roof absolutely perfectly. And we'll just extend the floors out so we can extend the slopey part of the roof. It's a little bit tricky getting these ones in for whatever reason, but they do go in eventually. But there's no gaps either side. I'm very happy with how this all sits on top. And we now have a dedicated shelter, and of course I've thrown in a pillar there just for some extra support. And it's not just a shelter for the staircase, we actually have a bit of shelter for our rooftop. But overall I am very happy with how cool that looks alongside our little staircase. Moving back to the rooftop, I've decided to turn it into a big security post, as I think that is very necessary due to the landscape around the settlement. So barricades are very much necessary as it's going to be their living area as well. Now I left this part of the rooftop empty for now as I was trying to decide what to do with it. And I feel like it needs a dedicated shelter because we are lacking shelter up here. So I'm going to put down a few floors to fill in the gap, and I'm going to be using this prefab as it's perfect for it really. And I'm just going to dress it up a bit. And that is our security post finished. Of course, it's going to look 10 times better with decorations. I now want to move on to the bottom half of the building, and I want to make use of these hooded areas as they obviously were shops before. And I want to turn them into dedicated market stalls, making use of the space underneath. So what I'm going to do is throw on a load of scrap and give it some purpose. And what a difference that makes. We now have some dedicated spaces for some market stalls a bit later. I have of course done the same thing with other hooded areas within the settlement. And finally, it's time to move on to the waterfront. And with the existing building there, I'm not going to do anything now, but I will be changing it up with decorations and some lighting later on. But this area does need some barricades, so I've gone ahead and done that, used the same ones but flipped a few of them just to give it a different look. I've also added some different barricades to the metal existing ones that were there just to give it more of a solid look. And I want to do something with this area. I definitely want to turn it into some kind of restaurant, and these shack floors are perfect because they go right into the rocks here. Might have to put a couple of small ones in, but it's not a problem. And we'll bring it up to where the sunken boat is. And I actually want to make use of the boat, and I want to use it as a support. And luckily I can put a pillar inside of it which will bring that idea to life. So we've actually made use of this broken boat, and I'm quite happy with how that's turned out actually. Overall, the shelter does look a bit boring, but the true transformation will be from decorations, and I cannot wait to show you. And on that note, that is the build absolutely finished. And I cannot wait to show you what I do with the place with decorations. It's going to be a massive difference. So I'll see you guys in the tour. Hey, what's up guys, welcome to the tour. And before we start, I just want to thank you all for 50,000 subscribers. Never thought I'd get here, to be honest. I started the channel properly about a couple of years ago, and the first video I did do pretty good actually, and I was hooked ever since. And it's mostly the nice comments you guys leave that just keep me going. That's what's the main purpose for it for me really, is just the positive feedback. You guys love these videos, and yeah, I'm very proud of every single video I've done as well. I really put my heart and soul into these builds. And it just shows because you guys love it and you show support. And yeah, next milestone, I'm hoping to reach 100k now. Never thought that would be a milestone, but that is the next target, and that is the dream for me, because I'd love to get that plaque one day, because that's like a physical kind of reward for all that hard work, you know. But yeah, let's get into the build. It's going to be a longer tour than usual because, yeah, this is probably one of my most detailed settlements. This geezer is doing some weird kind of glitchy thing, so that's his little dedicated spot. On my right, I found a couple of rad stags, so I killed them, put them on a table, and I made it look like we're kind of like gutting them and using them for food. I've got a big fire pit here, put loads of campfires into one to make one big massive one. Around the side, it's just some junky bits, nothing important. And I did put quite a bit of effort out the front here because it is an open space of which you can use. We've got a little table here just for a waiting area. We've got a sign saying Egret Tours Marina Market, welcome all and have a great day. There's a bunch of rubble here that I just put a load of plants in just to bring it to life. I always love doing that with rubble that you can't delete. Just stick some plants in there, just wall it off a bit. This is similar to what I did in Jamaica Plains. It's like a little car boot sale thing. Very much a popular thing in my country. And I just put loads of junky items next to the car, obviously. I was very careful not to put it too close to the car because it can get a bit glitchy and the car can like fly off. So you have to be careful of that. Back here, I've barricaded where the landscape is here, and I've just made a dedicated area for a turret. And there's one in the trees over there. There's pretty much a turret looking at every single area. Got a nice little campfire area with a bed for anyone who needs a place to stay. And that's pretty much the front of it. There's not much around the left except a security post, but I'll probably show you that last. So let's go through our Egret Tours Marina market. Now I've used some items that I don't usually use. Like I've used the Vault Boy as a kind of like a welcome sign, and it goes pretty well. Put a liquor sign with the American flag and just some arrows to point in that direction. Security's pretty good. We've got 2 guys watching over. This whole section on this side is for security, so that's where they kind of ammo up and gear up and all that. So when people enter, they have to give their weapons in, put them in a locker, take off any kind of armor. And yeah, there's loads of rubble here again, so I've put the plants with the barricades. Always works very well. To the left, we've got a table, just another little waiting area, a little dining area. And these stalls are my absolute favourite. I'm really happy with how these have turned out. So I've managed to just put one on the side here, allowing a gap so he can get through. I've just littered it with loads of signs. He's got some storage in the back here, some shelving. And I'm so glad I've made use of that such small space. And round the right, I've actually made use of this little area. I've kind of put like his knife collection for sale. We won't go through here. This door's supposed to be shut. That's for the security side on the left side of the settlement. So yeah, that's a no-no. So naturally you would go through this way. I've kept the sandbags because I wanted to add like a working kind of barricade so they can stand at it, and it's worked out quite well. I did delete the other sandbags. I only kept one. And this is the pub. This is called the Silver Shroud pub. So it's obviously Silver Shroud themed. And yeah, we might as well have a look inside. And I just love how this looks. It's a proper post-apocalyptic pub, and I love it. And of course, I've kept it like the Silver Shroud kind of theme. And there was a big bit of mess here, which made it really hard to decorate the place. So what I did was barricade it and made like a dedicated spot for like a prop for the costume and some signs and a TV. And the rest of the space where it's clean, I've just put loads of tables and chairs. And it was a bit of a pain getting these barricades in, but it did work. And I just love this pub, man. It's my favourite part of the build. I've even dressed up the barmaid, and I've managed to put the shop kind of halfway through the existing bar. That's the most I could do. And I've got a little menu. So today's menu is, you got food, which is my alert, a soup for 3 caps, you got beer, and you got ale. And I've even made like a little toilet as well, so with a working door. It's quite difficult to get all this in, but it did work. Managed to fit a little container behind her with loads of drinks for people to choose from. I kept this sandbag because, I don't know, it does add to it, I think. How I fixed the floor, I'll just quickly tell you how I did that in a little segment quick. So what I did was put down 4 floor pieces and 2 big ones and put the pillar in this position. And then I bring it over to the pub, and I've put some campfires down which will allow me to put the pillar into a position of where that sweet spot is. So before we make our way upstairs, there is one more thing I wanted to show you. I've made like this little dispenser for some beers out of the conduit set. And it's the best I could do, right, for like a little beer dispenser. I think it looks obvious that that is the case. But yeah, let's go upstairs. This is where the owners live, and it's just a couple of adults and a child, I've made it look like. And it's big open space. I've kept a couple of things like the desk areas with the existing terminal. Good thing about these rubble patches is you can actually sink pillars into them, so you can put a glitch in here to a certain extent, but not obviously on the clean floors. So around the right we've got a nice bed here with a table. As we make our way around, we've got a little chill area. We've got a bed for the kid with some toys and another bed there. And all the windows are sealed up. I didn't actually show myself patching up the windows, but some of them have some mesh, some of them have some glass. And we've got this desk area as well. This is for like a typewriter. This side, I managed to do what I did at Boston Airport and glitch through a working terminal into a broken one. This terminal was already here. And yeah, I'm just very happy with this space overall. I've done what I could with decorations. Nothing looks kind of empty. And this porch area, it's just a table. That's the most you can do out here. So let's make our way downstairs and have a look at the rest of the settlement. On the side of this warehouse, just put a big bin, like a drink fridge thing, some pictures here and there. This is another market stall. This is purely just meat, so fish. She's got a bit of everything. What should we show you next? Let's show you the restaurant and then the security bit. So this is actually another marketplace that I've put down. This is more for like your medical kind of stuff. As you can see, loads and loads of chems.
Yes.
We've got a ghoul with a gas mask because I thought that'd be a good touch for this kind of shop, you know. We've got a little surgical kind of shop as well in case anyone needs patching up. And you can actually get around here. I have left a gap. It's very tight squeeze, but I've managed to fit just a chair and a box. I've filled this entire area with pictures. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, there's this big sign which was so needed for this empty space. It really does bring the town alive, you know. Now this has transformed quite a bit. As I said, the true transformation is when you decorate the place. So I have added a couple more structural bits. So we've got an outside area with a couple of tables and chairs. And I've kind of walled off where the dirt patch is and made it into like a little mutt fruit garden. And making our way through to the actual restaurant, it does actually slide into this area as well. So I've done the same thing, walled it off, but with weapon racks this time. And it's a really cool kind of feature area. So I've put some lights up and it looks really good with the rocks and the mutt fruit. And we've got loads of tables and chairs, big restaurant. We just sell drinks and soups generally. Bit of meat here and there. And she's got her own little kitchen as well. These drawers are really good for glitching the crafting cooking stations in. I think they're the only things you can really use, to be honest. So before we show you the boathouses, we'll show you the little security bit. And we might as well go on top as well. So this is another area I love. This is just where the security fix up their power armors, put any weapons and ammo. Back here is just a little kind of walkway. I wanted to do something with these hoods, but the space was a bit too tight, so I didn't bother. I put a Christmas tree here just to, I don't know, it's decorations, isn't it? And I've managed to put a bed in this dumpster. I thought that would be a cool little touch. I managed to hide as much garbage as I could, so it doesn't look like they're sleeping in rubbish. But I think that was a good kind of spot for a bed, as there is some shelter there. So let's move on upstairs. So I've put a lot up here because it was quite an empty space. And it's just a load of chairs, tables for, as you would expect on a security spot. Ammunition, weapons, some storage here and there. And it does look over the entire settlement. Except from behind the warehouse, that's about it. But turrets have kind of sorted that area anyway. We've got a little lunch area for the security. I've managed to glitch through a desk on top of this table. This will allow you to actually put things on the table. With the original kind of lunch table, you can't put things on there in build mode for some reason. We've got a dedicated kind of watch over spot. Round here, I kept this open. I've just made it look like we're doing some patchwork here and there. And I used these things just to put some settlement beacons down because it just seemed perfect for it. I want to show you this little boat area, and I've done a couple of cool things actually, which you will see eventually. At this spot, I've just put some cargo with some kind of like a water fountain. So the annoying thing is, without using mods, you can't do anything with this rubble. So I've kind of adapted to it. I've just put like a mopping bucket to say we are like in progress cleaning it up. And I've turned this area into a rent a boat shop. So this is where you can rent some boats, and I've actually made some boats myself, as you can see. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but they're either side. People can go out and fish, but of course it costs some caps to rent out the boat. But this is where they come and they do some business. I've managed to put the lights into this sign here that was already there. So I stacked up all these lights going 5 across and 4 up, and I put the pillar up in a certain position where I can sink it into that existing sign, and it looks so cool at night. And of course there will be some night shots a bit later, but I'm very happy that worked. So as we go inside, it was mostly decorated anyway. I did add a lot in here, but it kind of did half the job for me. We've got loads of suits ready to go out there because, yeah, it's full of radiation, so you need some protection. We've got some broken terminals, of which I've put some working ones in. We've got a shotgun in case anybody tries anything, anyone's kind of stuck any knives in the settlement. Yeah, really happy with this. I didn't really need to do a lot. And round here is where they get into the boats on this side. As you can see, there's more and more suits here and there. And yeah, you can just jump in. Really, really happy with these little boats. And I'll explain more about these boats as we go into this warehouse, because this is where they mainly come out of. So as we come in, we've got a couple of chairs, some containers. Unfortunately, you couldn't scrap this little thing, but I guess it adds to the decoration. And yeah, I've done as much as I could. I haven't done much structurally in here, but decorations, I've spent a lot of time. So as we make our way through, we've got some more suits and some kind of repair things. And this is what the boat is made out of. I've used some pillars, a sofa, this little electronic thing, and a bath. And as we come around here, here's an example right here. We're working on this one, we're repairing it. But as we look here, we've already got a couple going out. And I've connected these conduits just to make it look like they've kind of bolstered themselves in here so they don't go anywhere. As you can see, that guy's already off. Of course, it's a mannequin, but it's pretty cool because it looks like a person. And I put a generator underneath it so it looks like there's like some kind of engine going. And I'll tell you how I built these boats in this little segment quick. So what you want to do is merge these 2 sofas together using the pillar glitch. Then do the same thing with the bath on top. And to fill the gaps either side, I've got these shelves that I've put down, and these should fill in the gaps quite nicely, of course on both sides. And then with the front and back, these little pillars are very good for blocking any kind of gaps. I know they seem a bit long, but they will not be seen underwater. And we'll just finish off with this little component. So let's explore the rest of the warehouse. I've put fishing rods everywhere. Around here is more of those suits, because it's mainly a rent a boat kind of place, with the exception of a few shops and a couple of restaurants. Now this rubble is really annoying. Nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. I've made this look as cluttered as possible because with a boathouse there's going to be fish hanging up and just general baskets and stock everywhere, you know. It's quite a high ceiling, so I had to put a bit of effort decorating. We might as well have a look upstairs. Nothing's really changed except a couple of workbenches, and I've just filled up the existing fences. I've put some weapon racks just to give it a different kind of look because it did look a bit too scrappy up here. I didn't do much with that boat besides put a light on top of it. Put my workbench here just added loads of stock. With the rooftop, because it slopes down, you can't really put anything. I mean, I don't think I'd put anything on the rooftop anyway, to be honest. So let's have a look at that second boathouse.
Don't much care for good neighbor.
And this is just generally more of the same. You've got stock everywhere, life preservers. You can see more of the water out here actually. And we'll come round on the outside first. I kept these pallets because that's a good addition, of which you can't build. Just put a little lunch area, a little container for any kind of fishing ropes or whatever. Now this shelf was fallen over, so I kind of put a platform on top of it to make it like a big table. I was trying to figure out what to do with it because you can't scrap it unfortunately, but this has worked out quite well. I didn't need to do much in here. There was already this big boat, a couple of shelves. This kind of half was all me. I put some Mylark eggs in these bins. This light was dangling down and it was so annoying because it was just in the way, just right in the middle. So I pillar glitched these conduits up with these pillars and kind of pushed it on top of it so it's out the way, and it has worked. I have loaded in a few times and it's not gone back to its original position. So yeah, I'm glad that's out the way. And I've made it look like we're kind of fixing up boats. I know they're different to the other ones, but yeah, of course you can't build these boats, so I had to kind of improvise. We'll have a look at this security post. We've got some more fish. I'm really happy that I've kept these existing gates. They're also a nice addition of which you can't build. Got some storage in there. We've got a power armor there. And yeah, it's all cornered off here. He's in his own little area. Some stock, some cigars. Lots and lots of little details. So let's have a look at the last little security post that I've done. So I've made my way back to the front of the settlement, and this is where the security guys come through, and they do actually walk up and around the settlement, which is pretty cool. We got some cargo bits, and there's just generally a dedicated pathway leading up. I'm so happy these ramps glitched through this mountain here using the pillar. It just goes really, really well for this gap. And as we make our way up, as you can see where I put the barricades earlier, it's a really good section just to put some boxes, some chairs. And of course we've got this security post looking out everywhere in this area. Definitely necessary for this side. I know the other side is quite similar with how high the landscape is, but as you can see, there's a turret on the rocks there that keeps an eye on that little area. And on the rooftop of the restaurant, again, just what you'd expect. I'd put down just some cargo bits, just general stock. But yeah, that is the settlement finished. Probably my longest tour video I've done, to be honest, on top of the Sanctuary Hills, to be fair. There's just so much detail. I just want to cover it all, every kind of little piece of the build, you know. But anyways, if you guys haven't checked out my Discord, I'll leave that in the description. In there we can talk full out, you can share your own builds, and I do check out a lot of your builds, and the ones I've seen are really, really good. I think we've got a little over 200 people in there so far, so yeah, there's already a good community in there, so come and join if you're up for it. Thank you very much for watching this build. I'd probably say it took the same amount of time to decorate as my Jamaica Plain build. Yeah, about 30 plus hours, so because there is a lot to do in this place, and this was actually probably the most requested settlement for me to do for a while from you guys, so I'm glad I've done it for you. I did find it intimidating, I'm not going to lie, but I'm glad it's finished. I've enjoyed the process. So yeah, I'm going to give you some night shots, and thank you for watching the tour. Here's the night shots promised as always, and I did make a lot of effort trying to light up the buildings in a particular way. Really giving it a really cool vibe and making it look alive, most importantly. Really want to make that effort attracting all walks of life from the Commonwealth to come and shop around and have a look at the markets. And I'm really, really pleased with how the lights look above the boathouse. That's just something that sprung to mind. I was wondering if it would fit in there, and it did. Restaurant looks proper cozy at night, really liking how the lights have evened out. I've even lit up where the boats are coming out as well, as that seemed quite appropriate because you want to see what you're doing. You don't want to be hitting the docks, do you? I've kept the second boathouse quite low. I didn't want to light it up too much, but with the markets they are very much lit up, including the buildings around it. And I love the signs that I've used for the counter. It really gives it that advertisement kind of look. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.